Good morning. Welcome to another Coffee and Dev. I am here with my coffee. I'm your host, Corey Darby, and we grow as a developer in the time it takes to drink a coffee. Typically, I do these every Wednesday and Friday, and it's usually in the morning around 8:45 a.m. Eastern. We're running a little late today, but I made it, and that's what matters. So today's topic we're going to talk about is getting talent to apply, mostly developers, and I guess this is more focused around just managers who are more curious about this than anyone. But it's always good as a dev to know about this, just because you want to work with the best talent you possibly can work with. So you're going to be sitting there and going, how do I get better talent to apply to my company so that I can work with them? Because it's kind of selfish. But listen, you want to work with great talent. So diving into this is up-to-date comps. And as a manager, it's important to just work with your business partners to get them to review the comps that they think are acceptable. They might be using data that could even be 3 months last checked, and that could already be out of date. The easiest thing I will say, that the hack of having your HR or people's team up to date is get them to, because they'll usually have a service behind the scenes that they're paying that provides them information about what the comp structure is based off of a title and in that area. Now, what you want to do is also overlay departures. If you have someone who hands in their resignation, you want to have a process that follows up and gets an idea of, like, not like an exit interview. You want to know why they're leaving, but also you want to have an insight into what they're leaving for. Now, if they're leaving your company and the difference is like, $5,000 or 10,000 or whatever the number may be, and you consistently see this with people leaving for this pay bump, and especially if they tell you, like, yeah, I'm leaving for X and their title didn't change, it is a big red flag. If the title was relatively the same, but they're leaving on a pay bump, it means that you need to adjust your comp structure internally, probably, but also you need to adjust the comp structure on new hires, because you don't want to be sitting there passing on recruits because they're showing up with an offer that you feel is too pricey, and the reality is the market has just shifted. So engineering leadership, this is quite hard for a lot of companies, but if you look at like Etsy or Netflix, both these companies, I spent an enormous amount of time reading through their technical blogs, and it just shows that they're leaders in their space. And now that doesn't mean you need to run out and we need a tech blog, because every company always thinks that. But you want to foster finding a way of taking your technical talent internally and showcasing that externally. Now, that might be, you do meetups, that might be some sort of tech blog, that might be even just starting like a technical YouTube thing, or finding a way to do tech talks for your internal crowd, but publicly doing them. So it's a double whammy, I guess you could call it, where, hey, you want to foster education and training internally, great. So as long as everyone knows that the presentation and what's being presented and the questions are going to be public, then there's nothing holding you back aside from policy and process to make this happen, where someone could have something that they present internally and broadcast live externally. And it garners people to watch. One, they get insights into what your company does, the level of technical expertise that your speakers provide. It provides training and education for those internally. And, it's also just good personal branding as a dev or manager to be pushing out content that is showcasing expertise. And if you strive as an individual and improve yourself, it will help the company as well. And the company should be finding a way where the goals align like that. So, hey, look, we would like more technical showcasing to try and drive talent, but we also want to work with you or provide resources so that you get to use it on your own side. Because in the modern day, there's very few people who stay for a lifetime. And I think most companies have come around to understanding that, especially in the technical field. So, they know at some point they're going to leave you, and they want to leave you, or they should be striving to leave you in a better position than when you first joined them. Because that should be the case, because they would be yielding those returns as you stay at the company. So the next thing I think that a lot of companies are really quite weak on is they don't sell the adventure, is the best way I can say it, is they are trying to bring in candidates on a generic posting. They don't really know where they're going to place the candidate, or they want the option to place the candidate wherever they feel or wherever they deem is the best fit. The reality is, when I've applied for companies in the past, it isn't, there are a lot of jobs I've walked away because it wasn't clear what team I would work on. You start the process and they're like, oh, we'll do team placement and where you would fit best. It's like, well, I have a lot of personal preferences of where I want to be and what I want to work on. So if you can't upfront tell me that, a lot of talent I would suspect just walks. Or they're not willing to put up with other things. So, I want to work at company X. It sounds very exciting. Cool. The comp structure is a little bit below what I think I could get, but I'm going to be working on XYZ, and I find that really exciting. And you get to the end, and they're like, oh, great. Yeah, but that team's already filled their position, or like, we think you'd be a better fit for X. Now you've lost that advantage, and the candidate goes and says, I was passing on the comp because I was really excited to work on X, but now, you know what? I'm just going to walk. And, sometimes, and it's very hard because you get candidates who will just BS you and just say, sorry, I'm accepting an offer elsewhere, which is the polite way of just not wanting to negotiate, even if they don't have an offer, obviously. Because during that process of going back and forth, they just felt that it wasn't a good fit for them. So I think you really have to sell the candidate on what they're going to be getting, where they're going to be, and explaining the business, not just the technical aspect. A lot of times, the companies I've gone to is less about the technical stuff and what I'm going to be working on. I'm not like, they're using XYZ. Oh my gosh. I'm more interested in, okay, I can see how I could propel that business, or what their market demographic is and how that makes sense. Or, oh, I wonder if they're doing X and the project we could build on top of that is Y. And, oh, I have background in that, or I have expertise that I could pull into this industry. You sell the adventure. There are plenty of places I've seen where it's like, you read the job position, it's a technical position. You're like, okay, well, like, cool. You're using, modern tech stack and modern technologies, and great. And if that's your only selling point, is like, look, we're all new code base and we're not legacy. It's like, okay, cool. You're going to get people who just only want to work with new. And then what happens when the company matures? And those people who only want to work on new are stuck with something now that, has evolved into something not on the bleeding edge. Well, they're probably going to pack up and leave. Not everyone, of course, but, but selling them on like why the company exists and where they play in that piece is extremely good at, or extremely powerful is what I should say, at getting talent. So with that said, I do stream this over on Twitch at Tech at Scale, as well as some of the behind the scenes stuff. The schedule is quite random, but if you want to follow over there, you can always go to twitch.tv/Tech at Scale. And I hope you learned something today, and enjoy your coffee and your lovely weekend. Until next time, I'm out. Adios.